Aleximo. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the top 16 of the Crush Card Cup. I'm Aleximo, joined by Joseph Rothschild, MBT Yu-Gi-Oh! Before we get into today's feature match, I want to give you guys a breakdown of the top 16 for this tournament. So, leading up to the top cut, everyone was able to switch decks in between rounds, but I would actually say 14 out of the 16 players here were pretty much playing their same deck throughout. I think there's only been 2 players, if what I looked through was correct, that actually wanted to switch or make modifications for the top 16 in general, where we lock the deck so that way there's no scouting, there's no, knowing what your opponent's playing and then immediately being able to hard counter it. We want to make sure it's locked up, but there's your top 16. We have 8 Eldlich, 3 Adamantipator, a Salamangreat, a Mech Knight Invoked, an Altergeist, a Zombie. This is the Balderok Zombie World zombie. It's actually still playing 3 copies of Golden Lord, but that's the only Eldlich card in the deck. And then also the fan favorite Zodiac. Joseph, what do you think about this top cut?
Not actually surprising, unfortunately. I was really excited to see what interesting, innovative decks that people came up with, but the Secret Slayers meta is so centralized around Eldlich and Adamantipator that even the fun decks, like Zombies, are forced to be playing our big golden friend. You know, despite the fact that 3/4 of the top cut is composed of Eldlich Adamantipator variants, I really do hope that Mech Invoked, Salamangreat, Geist, and Zoo, alongside Zombie, of course, are able to make it past their first round of contention. I think a lot of people would really love to see, for example, Ratpier go all the way in 2020.
Yeah, I think it's really funny that when I was first comprising the deck lists for this pie chart, I saw the zombie list and I saw Golden Lord and I'm like, oh, it's Eldlich. And I just counted it as an Eldlich. And Dominik, the zombie pilot, messaged me. He's like, hey, I'm actually not playing Eldlich. I'm playing zombies with Golden Lord. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so for our feature match today, that's what we're going to go ahead and watch, because I think that is going to be much more interesting to see how this non-Eldlich zombie deck, apart from the Golden Lords, of course, was able to make it this whole way. I did see that Dominik was playing this deck throughout the tournament. Never really had a chance to give him a feature match, but this is going to be the opportunity, going up against who other than Jason Leonard, Jeff Leonard's prodigal son, who is just tearing through this tournament. He ended 10-1 in second place after Swiss. This is going to be a bloodbath.
I think we have actually a cameo in the watcher chat. Hello over there. Jason Leonard beginning with a Magician's Souls. This is about the best start you can expect as an Eldlich pilot. Discard a couple of Eldlich spells, get their effects at the end of the turn without having to activate them on your first turn. Black Eldlixir and Conquistador are perfect sense, and this is the one choke point.
Yeah, being able to ash this Magician's Souls. So the nice thing is here, this isn't the end of the world. Jason will still be able to convert these into more cards, but losing out on the draw 2 from the Magician's Souls is so rough. I do want to shout out Resource Judge 1245, otherwise known as Disencoder, Kevin Rodriguez. He has been the head judge for this event. He's been helping with all sorts of rulings and has been pivotal to this tournament success. So thank you so much. Be sure to subscribe to his channel as well for all of your judge-related memes, as well as his Twitch live stream as well. So we're going to banish this copy of Black Elixir here and get a copy of, I actually missed it there, I think it's just Conquistador. Yeah. And looks like we're just going to set a couple and pass, which, I mean, if your Magician Souls gets ashed, there really isn't much else you can do in this Eldlich deck.
So, firstly, Coder, I'm sorry about pole position. And secondly, I think that even if your Souls is ashed in this particular instance, it's really kind of okay. You know, it's frustrating to ditch 2 cards and then lose all of the advantage that you've accrued, but the ability of Eldlich to banish their spells and traps in the end step to get more of them from deck is what makes this deck so powerful in the first place. So even though you went -2, you get to end on a board of 4 set cards plus a monster. That's pretty strong, and Sanguine is the key to unlocking that back row.
Right, I was just about to say, if there's a Sanguine in Jason's back row here, having the Ash take trade with that Magician's Souls is probably fine, because then you know that Scarlet's most likely going to resolve. Granted, they could have multiple Ash Blossoms, but theoretically, I mean, one is most likely just going to be the only one in their hand. But this Golden Lord now stuck to the field, that puts Conquistador online, and we still have that other back row behind the Golden Lord, so we could have a Golden Land Forever, we could have a Waquero. We'll have to see how Dominik is going to navigate this. Are we just going to go straight to end of battle phase, evenly matched, but a Golden Land Forever from Jason? This is, I believe, Dominik's deck is oriented to go second specifically. I believe if if anyone recalls from the Pro Play Tour, Matt Reitler played a deck similar to this with zombies, where you just play this go second deck with all these going second cards, and then you just try to like capitalize on the fact that you can stick a Balderrock with a zombie world up, and that can actually be very devastating for a lot of decks to have to play through.
Yeah, Matt's someone I know personally. I met him at a regional, and we had a grand old time dealing with Rivalry of Warlords rulings under Zombie World. The one thing the Baylor Drock version of this deck has over something like the Eldlich specific version is the ability to flex second and go into these huge haymakers like Evenly Matched and Called by the Grave on the Golden Lord in response to the White Eldlixir. I don't understand why everyone is so excited to activate Conquistador in the same chain as the Eldless Searcher.
Yeah, so we had a Chainlink 1 or no, I'm sorry, we didn't have a Chainlink. Unizombie was just normal summoned. We had a Chainlink 1 Conquistador, Chainlink 2 Eldlixir of White Destiny going after the Golden Lord, and then Chainlink 3 Called by the Grave, banishing the Golden Lord, nullifying the White Destiny, as well as the Conquistador, preventing the pop. This Unizombie now gets to pop off, sending this Necroworld Banshee to the graveyard. This can then get banished at quick effect speed to activate Zombie World and get that online, which is essentially pivotal for Dominik's deck to see a lot of success here.
So, the reason that the cards are playing out in this particular way, first of all, the Necroworld Banshee in the graveyard is going to search a Zombie World. That's going to enable the Glow Up Bloom effect in order to summon a Baylor Drock from deck. You're playing the Eldlich cards not because Eldlich is an inherently powerful card, you know, it's just a bit of a recursive zombie. You're playing it because Eldlixir of Black Awakening can summon any zombie, provided you have a Golden Lord on your side of the field, and Baylor Drock is a perfect target. Now, let's not get into the fact, of course, that Baylor Drock has an increasingly powerful effect when against Eldlich specifically. If a zombie monster's effect is activated, you can negate the effect or banish a card on the field, and a zombie monster's effect is activated just about every turn if you're going for the Golden Boy.
Yeah, being able to recur the Balderrock is insane. Balderrock's actually a very annoying card for a lot of decks to deal with, and Zombie World can thwart a lot of deck strategies by converting all the types to zombies, and so maybe that's where Dominik has seen a lot of success here. We have this Vampire Sucker now hitting the field. This card is also, like, I think extremely underrated in any sort of zombie-based deck. We see the Balderrock going to be summoned here during the standby phase, and now this is going to pose a very big threat for Jason to have to play through here.
So the reason this deck saw a bit of competitive success is the interaction between Zombie World and Baylor Drock is fantastic. Zombie World changes all monsters on the field to zombie type, and Baylor Drock's effect triggers when a zombie monster's effect is activated. So instead of just activating when your monster's effect activates, it activates all the time. This means that when this Vampire Sucker triggers in the standby phase as Baylor Drock returns to the field, since there's a field spell on the field, they not only draw a card, they're able to banish the face-up Conquistador so you can't activate its effect later to banish from graveyard in order to refill the back row. This is potentially a way that this deck can go over the top of something like Eldlich's Resource Loop.
So now we're going to banish the White Destiny and the Scarlet Sanguine from graveyard. In Jason's main phase 1 here, we're going to replace those resources. So we're going to get a Wakedo, maybe another Conquistador as well, and it looks like that's what we're going to get. We kind of just have to wall up here. It looks like we're going to send the Wakedo to the graveyard, but Doom King is going to be used in response to negate the activation of the was it of the Golden Lord?
It's of the Magician's Souls.
Of the Magician's Souls, excuse me. Yeah, I was going to say, there's no Golden Lord in the graveyard, but a normal summon of Jet Synchron, the last card in hand. So being able to bait out that Balderrock, and now we can go into Crystron Needle Fiber here, and we know where this is going.
This is actually interesting. A lot of these Needle Fiber setups end up going into Auroradon, but Auroradon requires machines,
monsters. Right!
And as you were saying earlier, because Zombie World changes all the types to zombies, sometimes it screws up these powerful link plays that these decks are capable of. You'll have to go into, like, Lingcross, Martial Metal Marcher effects here. Right, he's going to try and go into Auroradon, but that is, Phoenix instead, but with no cards to discard, it's not a very challenging monster.
No, we do get the Alliance summon here, so we still have a token, but we're just going to go to battle phase, walk over this Vampire Sucker, and really Zombie World is putting a lot of pressure on Jason here because, like you said, he can't go into the Auroradon because he needs machines. Phoenix would have been really nice if he had a way to discard to pop it, but he didn't. We are going to use this Wakedo in the graveyard during end phase to set a copy of Scarlet, so at least that way Conquistador is online, so we have some form of interaction, but right now, it looks like Dominik actually has a pretty firm grip on this game. Here comes another normal summon of Unizombie, if that weren't enough.
Unizombie's so incredible because each effect activates independently. Your opponent's going to activate something like a Scarlet Sanguine. If you're the Balerdrock player, you're fine with that. You'll activate the Unizombie afterwards, and you'll be able to banish the Golden Lord.
So here we go. See if there's anything else in response here. We're going to activate this Conquistador, and there's a Cosmic Cyclone from Dominik in the main deck that's going to neutralize the Golden Lord. This Unizombie is going to be free to resolve now. We're going to go ahead and say, we're not even get to see what he sends because Dominik has already taken game 1, and he is 1 game away from top 8 in the Crush Card Cup.
That was absolutely the end of the game. I mean, without the ability to access Golden Lord repeatedly, the Eldlich deck, of course, can't put up any defensive whatsoever. Their backup line of making Auroradon is offline because of Zombie World. I mean, this deck really closed all the doors. I'm excited to see if it can do it twice, but this is a pretty convincing argument to continuing to play the deck.
And while Jason fires off this Curse Eldland, I want to give a big shout out to our sponsors, Ultimate Guard, We Play Games, and Project CCG for providing some incredible prize support for this free 512-person event. Be sure to check out their links down in the description below. We're going to see Jason get this copy of Golden Land Forever off of Curse Eldland, which to me signifies he has already a pretty good setup in hand. Yep, there's the Golden Lord. We're going to, excuse me?
Sometimes you gotta do it. Golden Lord's first effect to destroy a card on the field is really bad going first. You don't want to pop your own cards. And this is where a card like Apprentice Illusion Magician, usually a Garnet for Magician's Souls, of course, can come in handy. Special summoning herself by discarding the Golden Lord and preventing you from having to minus yourself all the way in order to get it onto the field.
We're going to send a Wakedo off of the graveyard activation of Cursed Eldland, and then we can set Golden Land Forever and 2 set cards, and then that Wakedo can trigger an end phase. We can get a Scarlet most likely here. So there's 2 unknowns. We know Golden Land Forever. Oh, we're going to get White Destiny. So we already have the Scarlet then, so now we know 3 of the cards presumably, and there's still 1 more unknown. We'll just have to see what that is. In the chat, Dominik just confirming what specifically Jason set, and here we go! Zombie World in the opener. This was the key to victory last time, so let's see if it works again.
So what I like specifically about getting Golden Land Forever is that against decks that are not, like, Tier 1, you really want to be playing a counter trap, and oh my gosh.
Anti-magic arrows! We saw this previously from Cody Angeloff, and it was an absolute blowout against this deck. This card cannot be responded to, and for the rest of this turn, after this card resolves, spells and traps and their effects cannot be activated. This gives Dominik a free turn of setup here. Wow, this is going to be huge.
So super heads up, by activating Zombie World first, they bluffed that they were a bad player who forgot that you can only evenly matched while you don't have any cards on your side of the field. So Jason was more than happy to say, yeah, go to battle phase, just to eat a face full of arrow.
Now we're going to see this effect of Mizuki here being sent to the graveyard. Card we haven't seen in a while, but it's a really powerful zombie card nonetheless. Banish Mizuki from the grave to special summon a zombie from your graveyard. Zombie World makes all monsters graveyard or zombie in the graveyard, but your deck's already pretty much comprised of them anyway. We're going to use Gozuki's effect on field to effectively Foolish Burial another one. We're going to get Balderok to the graveyard, and here comes a Crystra Needle Fiber from Dominik's side.
There's needle fiber combos in here?
We're gonna see.
Obviously, we're not going into Auroradon. I mean, certainly you don't have the ability to do that in your Zombie World deck, but whoa, a Solitaire summon off of the Gozuki as well. What is the end game for this? Just summoning Bloom from deck? That might be good enough.
Yeah, Bloom is a tuner, so it is a valid target here. We're gonna link off the Needle Fiber. Trisbania! Oh my god!
Wow, that's going to trigger Bloom in Graveyard and enable a summon of Balerdrock from deck, as well as banishing all of the spell and trap cards on the field at a time when they cannot be activated. This rocks.
This is incredible. This has to be how Dominik has been able to just devastate all of the Eldlich players he's played against in this tournament, because we've seen, out of like half the feature matches you and I have casted, Joseph, like half of them have been Eldlich.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you saw the top cut diagram. Half of the top cut is on this deck and might lose in the exact same fashion that it looks like Jason is about to.
So now we have Doom King on the field, and now everything is going to get banished per Trisbania here. So there goes the Golden Land Forever, the Scarlet, the Conquistador, and the White Destiny. Jason is just about all up out of resources here. This is such a show.
This is hilarious. Unfortunately, we don't have any more zombie activations, so we're not going to be able to activate Balerdrock's effect to banish the Golden Lord on field. But I think you're probably okay with that. Your backup plan is just to run your opponent out of spells and traps, and it looks like you are accomplishing it.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Jason's only drawing a single card. He has no other resources he can recur. Cursed Outland is the only thing he has engraved. Okay, Charge of the Light Brigade. That's going to be a way to get back. Yeah, that's going to be a way to get back into this. There goes a Jet Synchron, a Wakano, and a Magician's Souls. So just like that, we're going to get a copy of Raiden, I imagine, here, most likely. That is a tuner, so that enables some Needle Fiber plays. But we still have to deal with the Doom King here.
So we don't have a quick effect to tag into Trisbana. The Jet Synchron mills are good, but would be better if we had cards in our hand. You know, you can still go through the Auroradon combo, but any piece of interaction is not only going to stop the Auroradon combo, it's basically going to end your turn.
So now we're going to see a Needle Fiber play from Jason's side here. We're going to get the desk spot. What I just realized is that because Zombie World was actually banished from that Trisbania activation, Balderrock is actually not as good here as it normally would be. So Jason kind of has an opportunity to be able to recapitalize on this. Here comes Auroradon. There's no Zombie World denying that this turn. So I do not think he could have had a better top deck and a better mill off of that Light Brigade to get back into this game.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, a ton of cards perform that exact same function. You know, Jet Synchron does, just hard drawing Raiden does, but getting the additional mills of stuff like Haketo is going to be important for making it through the long game. This is going to trigger the effect of Trisbana because unfortunately that 001 was summoned to the wrong zone, and ooh, maybe a bit of a misplay. I would have tried to summon a token to that zone instead.
And so now we're going to link off the Auroradon and we're going to use the second effect of Auroradon, Tribute itself, and a token to get the O-Lion out of the deck. That gives us, 2, 5, 8 worth of levels here that we can go into, so that at least represents a Savage Dragon at the very least. Looks like
can you think of a good 8 to go into?
Yeah, and that looks like that's what we're going to go for here. Savage Dragon hits the board. We can then use the effect to go ahead and get our Auroradon equipped to our Savage Dragon. So that is a 10-50, so a 40-50 with 3 Boros counters. That seems pretty good.
I have no problem crashing Eldlich into this Trisbana here. Of course, you can get it back in main phase 2 by sending the Auroradon equipped to the Savage Dragon to the graveyard. But more importantly, Trisbana is just about the scariest thing the Eldlich player can see, and that's going to be a scoop out of the Zombie World player.
Unbelievable. Anti-magic arrows and Trisbania still wasn't enough to take down Jason. Wow. I mean, that's unfortunate, but we forced a game 3 here, and it looks like we're going to see Dominik go first, as a matter of fact, this time around. He's going to fire off Extravagance, and that's going to be met with Ash Blossom, so just trading card for card there, but this Unizombie is going to be able to resolve now, and this is going to be really exciting to see. We're going to send a Necroworld, Banshee, that will be able to get us our Zombie World to the field to enable our Balderrock. We had Balderrock in hand already, too, so we have that set up here. 1 card set, and now we're going to probably see the activation of Banshee, because it is a quick effect. Get that Zombie World to the field, then our Doom King Balderrock will trigger. We can special summon it back since it's a field spell is active during the standby phase. All things are zombies, so Balderrock is online this time around, and we're going to have to see Jason navigate his way through this one.
So this actually isn't very impressive. You know, a lot of the things that have been keeping the Zombie World player in the game, games 1 and 2, are things like evenly matched and anti-magic arrows, huge haymakers that equalize board states against much better decks. Going first, they're going to have to rely on, I don't know, floodgates against a deck that inherently resists them. Best case scenario is that set card is some sort of floodgate that stops specifically Eldlich, and they're able to negate the Eldland activation with the effect of Balerdrock. Paleozoic Dynamiscus is pretty good. Cursed Eldland is a super critical card to the combos of Eldlich, but does kind of lower the shields in terms of any further spell and trap removal, ending the game for the Zombie World player.
Now, to be fair, it does banish the Eldland, which means that Jason won't be able to capitalize on the graveyard effect, and Balderrock can still just banish a card that we have up on the field, or it can possibly negate an effect of something since everything is treated as a zombie, plus he's up against Eldlich anyway, but this could be important for stopping stuff like Jet Synchron and the like, but are we just going to see a couple cards in pass here from Jason? Was that Eldland that crucial to his play? Oh,
I mean,
wow.
That's not terrible. You know, obviously you want the Eldland to resolve so you can destroy the Zombie World with the effect of Eldland in hand. They'll negate it with Balerdrock, and then you can activate Eldland's effect to summon it. but setting a couple of cards and getting the Eldlich on the field over the course of a couple turns is not that big of a deal anyway. Going for the copy of Conquistador in a chain with Scarlet Sanguine, opening themselves up to Ash Blossom off the top, but doesn't particularly matter. This is a fantastic way to eliminate this zombie world from the field, which is the core of most of your problems.
Yep, so
going for the Unizombie instead.
Yeah,
that
interesting
makes sense,
here.
obviously.
Yeah, going for the Unizombie because that would just have the ability to send again. Conquistador gets summoned, popping Unizombie, Balderrock, and can now be switched to attack mode. But Glow Up Bloom off the top, that's it's not too bad.
That's really good. So Glow Up Bloom can be linked into Link Haribo, and then effect will trigger in the graveyard. You can even make a 2 for something like a Vendred Savior or a Vampire Sucker. Triggering the Glow Up Bloom is fantastic because it gets a Baylor Drock, and then triggering the Vendred Savior will likely be able to banish a card on the field. Now, Vendred Savior is in here not because Vendreds are critical to the play, but because of its second effect. During damage calculation, you can send a zombie from your deck to the graveyard as cost. That's super powerful, and while it doesn't trigger Baylor Drock because it does happen in the damage step, it is really, really, really good to just access a Foolish Burial in this deck.
Yeah, absolutely. Any means to do so is incredible, and that's why they play it. Plus, it just requires 2 zombies, so it's kind of like their generic link of choice. We're going to go to battle phase here. Avenged Savior is going to attack into Conquistador. That's going to trigger the effect of Avenged Savior. We're going to send Mizuki to the graveyard here. Dominik does take a little bit of damage here, but I don't think he cares that much because he got this Mizuki exactly where he wanted it, and now we can use the effect, or we're actually going to, because we activated a zombie effect, Doom King is going to trigger. That's going to banish the Golden Lord that is on Jason's field per Doom King's effect, and Mizuki is going to resurrect this Unizombie. Unizombie is now free to go off here, and now we're going to send the Necro World Banshee. I can't get that name right to save my life, and we're just going to pass. We have Doom King on the board, and now it seems like we're pretty comfortable here. We've got a second Doom King now up.
Wow.
This is going to be very difficult for Jason to navigate through.
So the choke point through this deck is the zombie world on field. The way you beat this archetype is to remove the zombie world, and sending this copy of Necro World Banshee is going to make that all but impossible. It banishes from cost, so you have to proactively use cards like Called by the Grave before removing zombie world. You're going to have to play through a negation of the Doom King Baylor Drock and a banish as well, likely. I mean, this looks pretty grim for the Eldlich player.
So here comes Magician Souls. We're going to send that Apprentice of Maluzan Magician. The thing is, like, we can't even really use the effect here. We're going to actually see Dom banish the Necroworld Banshee to be able to trigger the Doom King, so we're not even going to have a chance for Magician Souls to see the field here, but we also get to get a replacement zombie world because we went Chainlink 1 Banshee, Chainlink 2 Doom King banished, and then we also were able to then get another zombie world in its place. Here's a tuning. This is fine, but again, like, I don't think this really gets Jason anywhere.
You need to have the cards in the hand. You can normal summon the Jet Synchron, go to something like a Nightmare Phoenix, use Jet Synchron's effect to go into Hauka Fibrax from there after destroying the zombie world, but with the Doom King's negation effect still live and not enough cards in hand to facilitate both Phoenix and Jet Synchron, that's not going to work. Jason really kind of floundering here. I don't know what the end play is going to be. It looks like they're just going into Hulk now. That'll be able to get a 0/0/1 from deck, or maybe a Jet Synchron. Looks like they're going to negate the effect in response. The negation's down. We can use the Jet Synchron in Graveyard to make a Link 3, but you can't link it to Auroradon from here.
Yeah, Jason acknowledging in the chat that Zombie World is being the MVP right now because it really restricts what he's able to go into out of his extra deck. Like we said earlier, he can't go into Auroradon. There's a lot of cards that just have specific typings required to be able to go into. And Jason is going to concede, and Dominik, playing zombies, is going to go on to the top 8 of the Crush Card Cup. I can't believe it.
This rocks. I mean, obviously, you know, not trying to play favorites, but anything that's not Secret Slayer's meta, I am all the way in on no matter what. Zombies is an incredibly cool deck. It's unfortunate that it basically fell off the face of the earth, but showcasing in this match that it has the tools to beat top meta decks, I could not be more excited.
Yeah, I think people are going to want to see more of this deck in the future, and I can guarantee you for top 8, we'll probably bring you a feature match for Dominik again. So, guys, thank you so much for watching the video, and we will see you in the next match.